A closer look at the 2022 Lexus IS 500F Sport Performance. The Lexus IS 500F Sport Performance is a high-performing luxury sedan from the Japanese automaker, making its return to the market after a long time. Nearly 15 years ago, Lexus gave the world its first F-branded high-performance sports sedan, the IS F. Back in the day, this vehicle was Lexus's reply to the BMW M3 and Mercedes-AMG C63. The Lexus was not as fast as its German rivals, but it still gained a cult following because of its gem of an engine, which was a naturally aspirated V8 that could rev high. Since 2013, the US has not seen an IS badge. However, in 2022 this vehicle is returning as the Lexus IS 500F. The car features an updated engine and produces more power. Lexus also claims that this is the most powerful as the company has ever made. The IS 500F is a competent sports sedan that can now go toe-to-toe with any of its rivals in terms of performance and sheer levels of luxury. Coming from a Japanese manufacturer, it is also fairly reliable compared to its German counterparts. Lexus IS 500F Sport Performance, a well-connected car. F Sport Performance means that this Lexus IS 500 is no regular F Sport. It comes with a 5.0-liter V8 along with limited slip differential, adaptive suspension, and those boomy quad exhaust tips. It might just be the ultimate performance sedan on the market today. There is no escaping the fact that this IS 500 is just a modernized version of the IS that came out nearly a decade ago. It does command a very high starting price. Lexus has done its best to justify the high price tag by making the IS 500 feel very connected to the driver. It does not feature the best acceleration times globally, nor is it the fastest in its segment, but no other vehicle in the segment feels as fun to drive as the Lexus. It gives the driver a connection with the car and the road, offering sheer driving pleasure. The reason behind this nature of the vehicle is that we live in a world of turbocharged cars and electric vehicles. It is a breath of fresh air when the Lexus comes with a big naturally aspirated V8 that sounds like the world is shaking. The IS 500 could not match the acceleration of its German rival since it is offered only as an RWD, while most vehicles in this segment come with AWD. Lexus has focused on keeping the owners emotionally connected to the car by aspects like the sound of the engine and the rumbles inside the cabin of a V8, giving the vehicle a very old-school vibe. Lexus IS 500F Sport Performance, packed with a peppy V8. The engine on this vehicle is a bulletproof unit and can run for a very long time without a single breakdown. That is the sheer reliability offered by Lexus. The 5.0-liter V8 engine produces 472 HP and 395 pound-feet of torque. The power is the direct drive injection and variable valve timing. This provides immaculate fueling for the vehicle and makes sure all 8 cylinders work flawlessly. The power is the direct drive injection and variable valve timing. This provides immaculate fueling for the vehicle and makes sure all 8 cylinders work flawlessly. The power is sent to the rear wheels by an 8-speed automatic gearbox. The gearbox happily shifts independently, rather than being used manually by the paddle shifters. The paddle shifters offer a good tactile feeling while shifting the gears but seem slow to respond on sudden downshifts but do a very good job on upshifts. Lexus claims that the IS 500 can make the 0 to 60 mph sprint in under 4.4 seconds, and flat out, it will hit a top speed of 150 mph, making it reasonably quick for a vehicle that weighs 3,958 pounds. Thanks to its Torsen limited slip differential, the car feels rock stable at high speed, which sends power to the rear wheels with the most grip and gives it decently good handling. The engine is tuned to deliver 16 mpg in the city and 24 mpg on the highway, making it a gas guzzler, but one will not be concerned about that figure with a car like this. What is concerning is that the brake pedal does not offer much feedback, and a bigger problem turns out to be the cornering grip. The Bridgestone Potenza S001L tires offer a fairly limited grip in corners. Driving off the corner exit requires patience too. Hitting the gas too early leads to the Bridgestones leaving behind a smokescreen. Lexus IS 500F Sport Performance, a sharp design. The Lexus IS 500F Sport Performance looks stunning in the infrared color coupled with the blacked-out accents throughout the vehicle, giving the vehicle a very sporty stance. There is LED lighting all around, and the signature Lexus spindle grille takes pride up front. 19-inch wheels are lighter than before to optimize performance. At the back is when the IS 500 starts to feel special with the quad exhaust tips and the blacked-out lip spoiler. It makes the IS 500F Sport look purposeful. The interior feels premium, and it offers lots of modern-day features like Alexa connectivity, dual-zone climate control, and a 360-degree parking camera. There is a good use of leather and other soft touch materials, and the touchscreen is fairly large and offers immediate feedback. All controls on the interior are simple, easy to reach and access, and are placed exactly where one expects them to be. The Lexus IS 500F Sport's performance starts at $56,500 and is one of the most expensive cars among its class. The infrared red color costs $500 extra. The vehicle is offered in one fully loaded trim, and the options for the vehicle are fairly limited. Considering the price and the performance it provides, the IS 500F Sport performance is a value-for-money proposition as it offers the raw mechanical feel that not many vehicles are equipped with in this day and age. Also, since the industry is moving towards electrification, this might be the last chance to enjoy some big V8 engines. Like the old IS F, the new IS 500 is a 4-door, 8-speed auto, rear-wheel drive sedan. So, then, could you say it's the next IS F? Well, not quite. It's more like an M-badged car with more than 2 characters in its name, like the M340i. A lot of the way there, but not entirely there. In that case, how close to full-on F is it? I recently had just about 36 hours to find out. The spec I was lent was a 2022 Lexus IS 500F Sport Performance Premium in gorgeous Grecian water blue. While I didn't have much time with it, I was still able to get a good feel, have a lot of fun, and slide it around quite a bit, as every good V8-powered Lexus deserves. Here's how it all went. Big thanks to Lexus USA for squeezing me in on the schedule. The IS 500 starts at $56,500. As tested, it comes out to $61,000 before delivery. The IS 500 possesses sporty looks with some nice aggression mixed in. The 2022 Lexus IS has a nice overall look to it. Both the 350 and 500 share much of the same exterior details, from their sharp, aggressive headlights, massive front grille, and large functional front intakes, to their sharp tail lights that stretch across the entire rear end. By the way, those front intakes are a functional feature that helps channel air around the front tires for better aerodynamics. Focusing on the IS 500 itself, it's got such a classic sports sedan side profile. It also sits fairly low and wide for its size, which, combined with all the aggression going on up front, gives it a ton of presence, and looks quite menacing in anyone's rear-view mirror. Finally, the quad and stacked exhaust system that hangs off the back finishes off the IS's aggressive vibe quite well, and is shared by both the RCF and IS F. It's a sort of fast Lexus fare exclusive. My tester's silver mesh 19-inch NK wheels complement its Grecian water blue color quite well, though personally I think a satin black wheel would have matched its black grille, dark taillights, and various smoked accents a bit better. Sort of like the limited IS 500 Launch Edition. An interior that's a cut above in quality and value. Stepping into the IS 500F Sport Performance Premium, you're met with a host of nice appointments. Quality faux leather, dubbed Nulux, covers almost every surface, and is of a particularly nice feel on all the surfaces you'll touch the most, including the seat, steering wheel, shift lever, and armrest. Elsewhere, switchgear feels substantial, and with the exception of the annoying touch-sensitive climate controls, there are plenty of buttons and switches. This all comes together nicely in its quiet and airy interior. This is all thanks to the premium designation in the IS's title, which also includes such niceties as dual-zone automatic climate control, a panoramic 360-degree camera, chic analog clock, sunroof, and a power rear sunshade. Finally, to remind you that it's an above-average, performance-centric Lexus, F Sport Performance logos populate the door scuff plates, the bottom of the steering wheel, and the center of the seats. The IS's seats themselves are 10-way adjustable and very comfortable, with good bolstering, great head support, and are even very tall people-friendly. They can be dropped nice and low via the powered height control along the lower left side, which gives any body type plenty of head and shoulder room for comfortably cruising around, as well as sitting upright for an engaging, performance driving position. In general, the IS 500 has a good, low-slung driving position, very much like the new BMW M3, with high door sills and a nice big frontal view. Tech-wise, the 500's premium trim features an extensive list of infotainment, convenience, and driver aid amenities. The stereo system absolutely cranks. It's an 1800-watt Mark Levinson unit, which is controlled via either touchscreen or Lexus's Love It or Hate It remote touchpad. The center infotainment screen is a crisp 10.3-inch high-res unit that contains a host of convenience features: Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Amazon Alexa integration, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. The fully digital 8-inch dashboard is bright and has great definition, and changes up depending upon the mode selected: Eco, Normal, Sport, Sport S, Sport S Plus, and Custom. I spent the majority of my brief time with the IS 500 in Sport S, as it felt like the best all-rounder mode that made the most of the engine and chassis qualities. One of the best engines on sale today, hooked up to an excellent drivetrain. As I'd hoped, the 5.0-liter 2URGSE V8 is an utter riot under the IS 500F Sport's hood. Its peak figures are 472 horsepower at 7,100 revolutions per minute, and 395 pound-feet of torque at 4,800 revolutions per minute. These might not sound too low-end grunt at first, but rest assured there's plenty going on further down on the tack, and the dual overhead cam, aluminum lump revs up to these figures quite quickly to boot. Hitting 60 miles per hour from a stop takes just 4.3 seconds, which is pretty darn good for a 3,800 pound, estimated, near sports sedan. Launching the IS is always a ton of fun, as its soundtrack is refined yet raucous, and while it doesn't throw you back in the seat, it does feel like it hits its mark faster than indicated. 2022 Lexus IS 500F Sport image. Lexus: a lot of the engine's tone comes through to the cabin via speakers, which is sort of a bummer. Its intensity is apparently adjustable, too, however I didn't learn this until after I gave it back. Bigger bummer. I was surprised to find out that it's not tremendously loud on the outside, despite wearing a quad exhaust with surprisingly small mufflers that are a true dual configuration. I'd like to hedge that this is an area where Lexus is leaving enthusiasm on the table, in case they decide to come out with a new, true 4-door F car in the future. All 472 of its horsepower and 395 pound-feet of torque reach the rear tires exclusively via an 8-speed conventional automatic gearbox and Torsen limited slip differential. The gearbox's shift times are just barely considered quick enough by modern standards, and only slightly faster when you actuate them yourself in manual mode via 2 nice-sized paddles behind the steering wheel. Though, it must be said that shifts are very smooth while just cruising around, and not in search of some pupil-expanding lateral and longitudinal G-forces. Planted, well-damped handling and excellent dynamics. The IS 500 handles very well, and when you peer under its wheel arches, it certainly makes sense. The front suspension is an all-aluminum, dual wishbone setup. Out back it's a multi-link design, all of it tied to the driver's spine via adaptive dampers. There's also a Yamaha performance damper mounted in the middle of the front subframe. I found this to be kind of weird. Lexus states that it only possesses a performance damper in the rear, but there's very clearly one sitting up front, too. Regardless, these teeny shock absorbers help smooth out the ride over rough surfaces, and cut down jarring bumps intensity. As far as daily comfort goes, the IS 500's ride is excellent. It soaks up all the rough stuff and is brilliant on the street, as well as at any speed on the highway. Combined with its smooth shifts and ample power, it really makes for a solidly capable and comfortable daily. When the road gets twisty, the IS 500's chassis shines in Sport S and Sport S Plus modes. There's some body roll and lean, which unfortunately is paired with a complete lack of steering feel and too light of a steering action. Despite this, the steering is direct and has good turn-in, which would probably be amplified with better tires than what's delivered from the factory. The IS's suspension feels planted and confident, and as long as tighter successions of corners are met with precision and the right inputs, it'll hustle through without any problems. Its handling is sportier than average for more all-around performance, rather than going full beast mode in the twisties. It must be said that my tester was very tire limited. By that, I mean its 235/40ths 19 front Bridgestone summer tires were quite shot when I received it. They weren't exactly the best control for experimenting with the IS's grip and handling. I'd bet green money that any decent OEM performance tire, like a Michelin Pilot 4S, would have made this near sports sedan perform substantially better. Heck, Even having more tread on its delivered Bridgestones would have felt better. I could feel the chassis wanting to hang on during some high cornering speed through longer sweepers, but ultimately, the front end would start to fall off pretty quickly due to not having enough grip. Still, you don't need decent tires to test for rotation and propensity for oversteer, which the IS 500 has in spades. Like the RCF, it's so incredibly fun and easy to flick into a turn and powerslide out, quickly wiggle the rear end exiting a U-turn, or light up the rears at corner exit while wheeling at a decent clip. Encouraging the 500 into oversteer is a cinch thanks to the fast revving 5.0's torque, and the rear end is so controllable thanks to its limited slip differential and multi-link design. Reining in all of this rascality is done via fairly massive, two-piece disc brakes. They're 14 inches up front and 12.7 inches in the rear, and have ample stopping power. Pedal feel isn't the greatest, it's a tad soft for a V8 sedan with F-Sport in its title. Though, the brakes aren't grabby, they're more suited for smooth, comfortable engagement. The IS 500's daily friendliness certainly shines through here. The IS 500 translates into good overall value. While it might not be the next IS F, the IS 500 F Sport performance is still a very good all-around sports, near sports sedan. People might complain about its tech or interior design being a tad dated, and nitpickers might look beneath the wheel arches and exclaim that not much has changed since the IS F and RCF, but, like all Lexus products I've driven this year, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Its ride quality is great, power is maniacal laugh-inducing, handling is good, and comfort is, well, downright cozy. Especially considering where the 500 shakes out up against the competition, $56,500 is a very compelling base price, considering the M340i starts around the same, yet doesn't possess near as excellent of a power plant that makes about the same power figures as the new G80 M3. If the IS 500 F Sport performance is an exercise in Lexus leaving a bit on the table, then a potential, new true F product will be absolutely glorious.